software. And Rick Sandler is going to be spending some time with us today. We're going to feature the FIDO, the data retriever product, with the latest feature, Charts Anywhere. And we'll have you for about 40 minutes. We'll leave plenty of time for questions. There are a few ways that you can communicate with us during the webcast. So when you look at your webinar panel, there's a place where you can chat. So if you have any technical issues, if you can't hear us, if there's a delay, go ahead and send a chat message to me, and we'll try to, handle that as best as we can. And then if you have a question about anything that Rick's presenting as far as FIDO, software, whatever it is, you can actually enter a question in the question panel right then. As soon as you think of the question, you can enter it there, and then we'll address it towards the end of the session. And then, of course, at the very end, like we normally do, we'll unmute the lines and let you ask live questions as well if there's any then. So, Rick, I will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ainsley. Appreciate it. Welcome, folks. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedules. We'll try to make this as enjoyable and as value-packed as we can. Let me give you just a little bit on us. You probably already know this, but we've been in the channel since '94. Doing development, extending the functionality of the SL product line. Past 3 years, we've been in the AX world as well. We currently have over 1,200 active customers who are using our software and paying maintenance. We are also on the Partner Advisory Board for SL. We're a silver competency, non-selling ISV. And we've been participating in the President's Club for, I think, the last 6 or 7 years. So our focus today is going to be mainly on Charts Anywhere, which is the latest feature that was delivered with version 3 of FIDO a couple months ago. And we'll focus mostly on that, but I'm going to want to give you a little bit of kind of a refresher on what FIDO is. So what Charts Anywhere is, its purpose is to allow you to create as many charts as you want for any sibling that is in the list of views. I'll talk about that in just a bit. And then be able to put any of those charts onto any number of dashboards, and dashboards are usually arranged on on a role basis. And then you'll be able to either view those dashboards on your desktop or publish them out to your mobile device. So first, let's just review a little bit about FIDO. Of course, it's a web application. The important thing there is you don't need an SL seat. You can run it on your desktop or run it on your laptop sitting in Starbucks if you wish, or Dunkin' Donuts, whichever your preference is. FIDO will run on any SL platform that is SQL 2005 or higher. So that means if you're still running SL 6X or 7X, you can run FIDO today, and then when you eventually upgrade to the current version of SL 2011 FP1, then FIDO will be running on that just as well as it did on the others. We use the concept of view families. So basically, FIDO is delivered with, I think, over 110 or 120 views that we've put together as a result of feedback from customers and resellers. That view family allows you to go in. It's basically a master view that you can bring up, and then you can tweak that so that you change the sorting or grouping or filtering or what columns you want to display, what have you, and then save that as what we call a sibling. And that sibling is a member of that family, and you can create as many siblings as you want. The view families are either what we've delivered out of the box and continue to add with FIDO, or they're custom views that you can create or you may have shared with someone else who's using FIDO. You can launch applications, other applications with FIDO. So if you're running with SL, you could do something like if you're looking at a view of AP history and you want to be able to go get the vendor's name or their telephone number or what have you, you're able to, we could launch the vendor maintenance screen and get that information if you're not displaying it in your view. Okay? Or you may be doing something like if you're a manufacturing shop or a project shop where you're developing AutoCAD drawings and you've created a custom table where you store your vendor, store your drawing number in there, and you have that in a view, you could then launch the AutoCAD viewer for a particular record that you bring up in your view. FIDO also supports cross-database views. So if you're doing, if your environment is such where you have, you're doing multiple companies, but you're not actually using the multi-company module, where you have data for each company in separate databases, as an example, you can use the cross-database view functionality of FIDO and actually run a query that will pull the data from the individual databases. So here's a screenshot where what we're looking at is, this is the company window where you're selecting the companies within the the companies within a system database. And here's an example where we have selected company 10, which is in SL Demo App 60, and we've selected company 60, which, in Demo App 10, and company 60, which is in SL Demo App 60. So now if any of the views that I run will be looking in both of those databases. We have security either at the very simple level, which could be you give someone access to FIDO and only give them access to the views that you've allowed them to access, and it's in their favorites area, and that's all they're able to do, right up to being able to share a view between users and based on their security setting, expose certain columns or certain records. So column level security, an example would be pay rate, where you have two people that are running the same project view. One of them gets to see the pay rate, the other one does not. Or it could be two project managers where they both use the same view, but project manager A only sees their projects, and project manager B only sees theirs. That's an example of row-level security. The data dictionary is a very powerful feature of FIDO. Basically, we've, all of the fields or columns in all of the tables in SL are, of course, defined in SQL itself, in SQL Server itself. We've gone through and given friendly names to the more common fields or columns that people access. So it could be, instead of Proj ID, it says project. Your particular environment, you may not call them projects, you may call them jobs. So by simply going into the data dictionary and changing the terminology for project to job, all of the queries that you run will now say job instead of project. That's for existing fields. Of course, user fields are, everybody's using user fields. You're able to go in and define the characteristics about that user field to be used by the queries. We can control negative signs. So if you want a particular field when it's negative to flip the sign, you can set that in the data dictionary and that'll just happen automatically. Same with alignment, left, center, right, etc. Flex keys. As part of installation, FIDO goes through and looks at all your flex key definitions and pumps information into the data dictionary so that you'll be able to reference the formatted flex key and its segments. And I'll show you an example of that in just a second. Lookup control, where you may have foreign key lookups, like when you do any queries that are using AP Tran, you may want to also make the vendor name available to you. So by defining that relationship between AP Tran, the transaction table for accounts payable, and the vendor master table, we can get that information and make it automatically available to you, so you don't have to do any SQL coding or anything to get that. Also, control code lookup. So that might be something like CK for check, or VO for voucher, etc. You can actually define that lookup control like a PV list, and those English terms will automatically be available to users. So it's a lot of that's very time-saving stuff. Here's an example where what we've done here, now we're looking instead of the companies, we're now in the Views tab. These are the view families that I was talking about, grouped within a particular functional area, in this case project. Down here we have a project list, okay, and within the project list, well, here let's see, project employee profitability. Here we have what's called a sibling. That's the variation, the specific variation of the master view of this view family. Okay. Well, here's a project list where we're illustrating the sub-accounts. Here's its natural form for the sub-account. Here's its formatted form for the sub-account. And here are the individual segments, in this case reporting unit sales type, that define what that flex key structure is. And you're able to interact with that segment as though it were just a totally independent field. In this case, what we've done is actually taken the reporting unit, dragged it up to the header here, which causes automatic grouping. So now we have all the records here for the CO reporting unit and all the records here for the EN reporting unit. Okay, and there's a lot more to FIDO under the covers there. We're not here to spend a lot of time on that. Let's dive into charts. So what's involved in creating a chart? First, you select the sibling view that you want. Of course, you have to understand the data that you're looking for, so you can pick the view that you want, or perhaps you have to create a custom view. That view, of course, is going to present the data in a grid format, but you want the chart. So all you have to do is right-click on the sibling view and click Add a Chart. Then you'll select the chart type you want. We currently support 4 types: bar, column, line, and pie. And then you'll select the category or x-axis and the value, or the y-axis, from any column that's that's been defined in the view. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Then you give your chart a name and you save it. Okay, so let's take an example. So let's say what we want to do is get a bar chart that shows us the number of projects by customer we have. So a logical view for us to pick is the project list. That's in the view family. The sibling view that we want, which may have some specific information or may have been filtered or what have you. We define say what kind of a chart type we want. We define the x-axis, the y-axis, in which case we'll take the customer. We're going to say we want to group it by customer, and when we display it, we don't want the customer ID. We want to display the customer name, and then we're going to want to pick as the x-axis the project and get a count on that. So let's go do that. As I can find where FIDO is here. Okay, so I'm running FIDO in a browser. Okay, I launched it. Here's the company, and I'm selecting company 60 here. If I widen this a little bit, you can see the other companies here. We've got an example where we've got Silverbrook's database out there just to illustrate third-party integration. Okay, now I go to the views. Here's my view panel, and it's grouped by functional area. We're going to want to go down to projects, and we're going to pick project list. And in this case, we're going to take this project list sibling that I had run before. I'll execute this, which now goes out across, and I'm connected over a fairly slow internet connection at the moment. It goes out and pulls that data together. And we can see here that by customer name, we've got some of them out here that are projects that obviously aren't assigned to customers. Just very quickly, By clicking on it, I can go in ascending order. I can see I've got a lot of projects that don't have customers. I can click it again and get it in descending order, and then go back to its natural order. But what we want to do, we said we want to right-click. I want to go to Charts. Here I already have charts that I've previously defined. I'll go to Add a Chart, and I'm going to say, I'll call this Project Count by Customer, and this will say Webinar. And what I'll do here is actually pick this up, paste it here. So, and I'm going to say I want the bar chart. We now get the y-axis and the x-axis displayed. Up here, I'm going to want by customer. So I'll go down to customer. These are all the columns or fields that are available to me in this particular view. And I'm going to want to show all the values, but I want to display the customer name instead of the customer ID. So I'll go down here to customer name. Then I'll go down here and pick my source, my x-axis, which is going to be project. So I'll go down here and find the project field, and I will say I want to evaluate it as a count. And then I click refresh the display. And now it pulls that information and presents it for us. There's my chart. All I have to do is say save it. Then we'll get out of here. And now when I right click, I now have a fifth chart added, and I can see there's our project count by customer. So that's all there was to creating that chart. Okay? So let's just bounce back here. Now we'll look at example 2. Say what I want to do is actually have the project count by project manager. And in this particular case, what I want to do is, it's very similar to the one I just did, except of course instead of by customer, it's by project manager. But I also want to show it in descending order, and perhaps I only want to show the top 6 or 7. Okay? So let's go take a look at that. I can go back over here, and I could go through and create another one. In this case, I'm just going to show you how that gets manipulated. I'll bring this particular one up, and instead of customer, I want project manager. So there's project manager, and also I want it by name. And for the display as now, I want to see largest first, and I only want the top 6 records. Okay. Now when I refresh the display, I don't have to change anything here because we're still interested in counts. I refresh the display, and now we're seeing that arranged according to their counts. You can see the tooltips here. I can also choose an option here to display that in the labels, so I'm actually getting the values displayed in the chart. Okay, so I'll just get out of here. Saw how easy it was to manipulate that. Let's go back. Here's the third example. Now by contract type, also I want the count, but we want a column. So it's just as easy. I'll just go back into this. Actually, I should have just stayed put, because rather than just taking the time to create them individually, we'll go do this. So I want contract type. Find my contract type, and this contract type is fine. I'll do that. But instead, I want a bar chart. Excuse me, a column chart, and refresh the screen. And now we're getting that information displayed accordingly. Okay. All right, let's pick something a little different. This will be we'll take a look at a sales trend. So if we're interested in a period-by-period sales trend, we might want a line chart that illustrates that. So I'll just kill this, and let's go pick a different view under the financial area. And sales by period, so I'm probably going to want to get that out of the AR history. I've got AR history by period. I don't want to save the changes I made to my project list. It's fine. And now it's executing the AR, where I've got some information here by period. You can see there was no activity in the first 9 periods. That's fine. Let's go into charts. Again, here's an example. It's already there. I'll bring it up so you can see it. Where what we did was we simply picked the year-to-date sales. We said we wanted to sum that information, display it as currency, and then we wanted the x-axis to be the period posted and display it as the period posted. And so there's our information. So that was pretty simple and straightforward. Now this kind of stuff, this overlapping information, of course, is because of the data that's there. Once you put it on a dashboard, you can expand the, zoom in on it, which will cause those fields to separate out. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, let's say what we want is we want a pie chart that shows our top 5 customers by sales. Go out. Again, the key is to pick the appropriate sibling that's going to pull the data together that you're expecting to see. So here's annual. If this had multi-year information, you'd be able to see that across multiple years. Here we're with this demo database, we've only got sales here for the current year for these particular customers. Of course, from a grid perspective, I could manipulate this information by customer ID and sort it. In this case, it's sorted by in descending order by sales, so I can see the customer here, etc. But more useful to view that in a chart form. So go out here, and we have, here's an example, top 5 customers. Here we're seeing it in a columnar format, and all I need to do is switch this to switch this to pie and refresh it, and it's now represented it separately. And in this particular case, we've got the all labels checked, because certainly for information that's as extensive as this, it'd be hard to cram that into the individual pie slices. So you get the idea on how easy it is to create these charts. Now, let's talk about dashboards. Once you have all these charts created, then it's a matter of organizing the charts onto dashboards so that people who are consuming the information are able to get to it very easily. So I've picked a couple of roles that will illustrate that. Here's the CEO who might be interested in the sales trend. So we've looked at these things: the sales trend, the top 5 customers, and perhaps contracts by or projects by contract type. Okay, so if we go out here, actually, come to think of it, I think I've got screenshots for this to illustrate this. So here's the CEO dashboard, and what we want to do is we go up to the dashboards area, we right-click, create the dashboard, give the dashboard a name, and then we open the dashboard by double-clicking on it. Then we can go in and add the charts. All the charts that have been created in the system will show up here. Of course, accessibility to those is based on your security access. They'll be all grouped in here. So we wanted the sales trend here. We wanted the project count. We wanted the top 5 customers. then we also wanted the project count by contract type, and it brings those onto this dashboard. Okay. Now, once these charts are on this dashboard, I can also do a little bit of manipulation. So one of the things, I go into settings, and I can increase the zoom factor. Click OK, and now we're seeing a larger rendition of that of those charts on the dashboard. Something else I can do is, let's say, for example, this is only looking at one company, the company 60. But I also have another company, CBS, that I want to be able to incorporate in this, because I want to look at this looking at both companies. So I can click Companies, have company 60 checked. I can go down here and find company CBS, check that, click OK, and now we're seeing that information. Okay, and my settings will stay with the chart on this dashboard. So using this dashboard, I might just use this sales trend and just flip around to different companies just to get that, without actually having to have multiple versions of that sales trend chart on my dashboard. Okay, now let's say that I'm a chief project manager, and I want to be able to monitor my projects by customer and my projects by project manager, just in terms of seeing what the loads are there. So again, I would go in and right-click on Dashboard, create a dashboard, give it a name, Chief Program Manager, open it up, and then choose, I wanted, let's see, project count by customer, and then project count by contract type, count by project manager. Haha. Click OK, and there are our two charts that we're concerned about. So now that I have them on my dashboard, I can publish those dashboards out to my mobile device. I may have you have to be a little intelligent about it. If you're trying to consume a dashboard or a chart on an iPhone or an Android phone, you may not want a dashboard that's loaded with a whole bunch of stuff. You might want several dashboards where each one is available with its own chart, what have you. Or if you're doing that on an iPad or an Android tablet, or yes, a Windows device as well, then you can arrange that and publish those out. Of course, it's going to use the same Windows authentication, so it's not like anybody can get that link and be able to get in and view that dashboard. You've got to have the Windows authentication information to get in there. So some other facts about FIDO and Charts Anywhere. With version 3, we have a new demo mode. It used to be that when you put in FIDO, it was enabled for, I think, one view family and a number of other limitations. We've now completely opened it up so that you actually have up to 3 30-day full functional periods that you're able to use the software with all its functionality before you have to purchase it. The cost of FIDO is $1,500 for the first 10 named FIDO users, and again, that has nothing to do with an SLC, but they are named users. It's $500 for each additional 10 users, and then $500 adds the Charts Anywhere functionality to FIDO. So you could have 250 users, and for $500 you'd add Charts Anywhere, and all of them would be capable of doing that, of course, subject to your security control again. And again, no SLC is needed. Installation and support. We have, it only takes about 30 minutes to install, and depending on the level at which you want to use FIDO, it could be less than a few hours to get everybody running. So we've actually created a Jumpstart program which is required for anybody who's buying FIDO, is either to purchase that Jumpstart program from us, where we actually will get online with you. We'll either install the software for you, or if you've installed it, we'll review it and make sure that you've got the current version and it's set up correctly, etc. And then we will provide training to you, and it's broken into 3 areas. Basically, the first area being for general users. So we show you around, show you where the functionality is, give you some idea of how you might use it, etc. Then you can dismiss your general users and have only your power users, so that we'll show them how to create their own custom views, and then dismiss those, and just your security administrators will be in the last section. Anybody who's current on maintenance with FIDO has access to our knowledge base. There's a sharing area there where you're able to, if you have a custom view that you put together that you think everybody else would be, or other people would be interested in, and you want to share it, you can extract that view family from FIDO and upload it into the sharing area where another FIDO user could download it and import it into their system and then tweak it to suit their particular database. We have a case study out there that is Neogen Corporation, which has over 250 FIDO users. I'll go out to our website in just a second, show you where that is. And then we also have comparison information between FIDO and QuickQuery. QuickQuery, as many of you know, is a query tool that was included in SL 2011. Of course, it requires that you're logged into SL in order to be able to utilize it. So actually, before I go to questions, let's go out to our website. So we're now looking at our website. If we go to FIDO, the data retriever, here you can launch out to the new case study. We show you a comparison between FIDO and QuickQuery in a kind of a table format here. We can, let me go back here and go to the Jumpstart link. If you want to read more about the Jumpstart program here, we show you the kinds of things that we cover in these 3 segments. Actually, we've formed a great relationship, because we've had a great relationship with Catherine Linder for a long time, but she has now become our official Jumpstart trainer, so that if you're going to do the Jumpstart program, she'll be the one that works with you to see that that gets done. We're getting great reviews on that. So, and with that, let's throw it open for questions. So, Ainsley, if you want to take it away, let me know if there's some questions there that queued up.
Yep. Can you hear me, Rick?
I can.
Okay.
And
great.
by the way,
so,
by the way, my partner Tim Kahn is also on the call. So if somebody throws a question at me I can't answer, I can throw it over to him.
So this is how we'll do questions. We're going to keep the lines muted, but you should have a little tool in your webinar dashboard that allows you to raise your hand. So I'll keep a close eye on the attendee list, and if you raise your hand, then I'll unmute you, and then you'll be able to ask the question live. And then, of course, there is still the question panel. So if you're more comfortable typing in a question, we have one in the queue now, then you can go ahead and just type it in there, and I'll see that, and we'll address it as well. So, Rick, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So one of the first questions, if we require complex view creation, do you provide that type of service?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
That was an easy answer.
Yeah. Okay, next question. We don't utilize projects in our organization. We use a more simple sub-account system. What benefits would FIDO provide?
Well, we have all those. We've got views in the financial area, in distribution area, in project area, et cetera. So you may find views in the financial area that suit your purposes, or you may want a custom view that's developed. So it depending on what your business is, even if it doesn't matter if you're using projects or not. I was using some project examples there simply because there's so many SL folks that are using project, but that doesn't matter. It could be, some general ledger analysis if you want. As a matter of fact, in the financial area, we have a couple of what we call power views that we created to help you do some of your problem solving. In this case, this was a GL AP reconciliation, so that at the end of the month, when you're reconciling your AP subledger with your general ledger, the tools are there that drastically speed up the time that it takes you to go through that process and troubleshoot if anything's out of balance or et cetera. So that's an example of a purely financial kind of function.
Rick, this is Tim. I'd like to jump in here for a second. I think, and maybe the question was referring to that maybe some of the project information is coded in the sub-account area rather than as a project, so you use a segment to indicate a project. So if that was the question, then of course Rick touched on it a little bit, but because we allow you to take a sub-account and break the segments into separate columns, it can be a very powerful tool. So if you have a sub-account that's got 3 segments, rather than just filtering on, like, trying to figure out to get the data in each column, actually FIDO generates a column for each segment. So if your third column is your project, your first 2 are your GL accounts, you could simply group or sort or order or hide or do anything you want by each column as an individual entity.
Thanks, Tim. That's probably right.
Okay, I'm still recording the presentation, so for those of you on the line that are asking questions, your answers will be part of the presentation link as well if you need to go back or share with your team. So we have another question. Can we use any of the graphs in SharePoint?
I don't know enough about SharePoint. What the dashboard is created as a URL, so it's actually essentially bringing up a web page. If you can link that into SharePoint, then I would say the answer would be yes. But
okay.
That's a qualified yes.
Got it. So the same person is saying they'd also like to be able to take their graph to a presentation. So if they're emailing themselves the web link and they had access at the presentation, they could just open the link and see the graph up on the screen or something like that.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, this looks like it's from maybe someone that uses FIDO already. When the dashboard is opened, I assume it refreshes. Is there a feature of auto refresh?
Yeah, when the dashboard opens, it does, and Tim, you'll have to jump in. I don't recall the details, but I believe it does refresh.
No, not quite. No,
not quite.
Right.
Okay,
not quite. So, yeah, and when you review this webinar, you'll see at the bottom of each chart is actually it's got the date that the data is current from. So what happens is whenever you create the chart, of course, at that moment in time, the data is fresh. But when it's on the dashboard, it'll have the date and time of the currency of that data. So there's a button to hit refresh, and when you do that, that chart then becomes refreshed with the current data and on anybody's dashboard that has that chart. So you can have one chart on a dashboard that's as of this morning, and another chart that's as of right now. We did that because we felt if people were going to a meeting, it may be helpful to have everyone to have consistent data. So that then you can organize it such, and it shows you that, so if you're looking at your data and it says 9 a.m. or it says 1 p.m. or it says 3 days later, you have an understanding of what that data is. So currently there's not anything that auto refreshes, but it's a matter of simply clicking the button to refresh. And then both that in your, you can do that on your mobile device as well. So if you have it up on your iPad or your iPhone, you can hit that refresh button to get current data at that point.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, and we have one last question. This is actually from a reseller who joined our webinar today asking how they get certified.
Okay, that's great, because I was just thinking that I had not discussed that. So the Jumpstart program is really will operate directly if your reseller does not have a FIDO certified person on staff to do the Jumpstart program. But we do have resellers stepping up to get certified. We'll provide that certification service to the reseller, where you'll do a self-study. We can provide some training for you, etc. The reseller will then take a certification test, and there's a written test and an oral exam that will give you, as well as having you solve a problem. So we know that you're capable of providing the Jumpstart service to the customer. So if a customer's reseller has a certified person, then they can perform the Jumpstart. In either case, the customer is going to want that Jumpstart service, whether it's from us or from the reseller. So that's important. The reason for that is we discovered that as FIDO is selling, a lot of people buy the software because they see it, because this is great, this is going to be a wonderful tool, it's not expensive, et cetera, and then either get distracted by all the day-to-day stuff you have to do and don't get around to implementing it, or you get in, and if that customer doesn't have training in the software, they don't quite get it, maybe get a little bit discouraged. It isn't that complicated, but it really that $600 investment is huge. Now we're actually, when people want to install the trial version and install FIDO in trial mode, we strongly advise that you invest in the Jumpstart program so that you get that training and understand where to go and how to look at it. Otherwise, it's possible that you'll get frustrated with it and figure that that's not something that's going to benefit you. So hopefully I answered that question. Bottom line to the reseller who asked the question is contact us, and we'll just arrange with you to, according to your schedule, provide the certification test to you, and you can train at your own pace.
Okay. So I'm not sure if you had another closing slide, Rick, or if you wanted me to go ahead and close out with what you have up there now.
The only closing slide I have is this one.
Okay. I just wanted to put in a plug for conversion, too. Sorry, I have other windows open. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you can contact me, Ainsley Keller. You can email me at Ainsley or sales@sksoft.com. Sometimes that's easier to remember. And we will be in New Orleans next week for Convergence. So if you're planning to travel there, we are an exhibitor sponsor, so we'll have a booth there in the expo hall. It's booth number 2209, and we will be there all week. So feel free to come and stop by. We'll be offering a show discount as well. So if you stop by and register for that discount, we'll let you know more when we see you in New Orleans. Thanks again, Rick, for presenting today. And go ahead.
One comment, just also, Catherine is going to be at Convergence as well, and she's going to be hanging out in our booth quite a bit. So if you haven't met Catherine, I encourage you to come by and meet her. She's a great lady and knows a lot about FIDO at this point. So.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for your time today. We are, again, recording the webinar, so we'll provide you all a link and send you out an email in a few days with a link to the presentation. Thanks again, and have a great day.
Thanks, Ainsley.